Hello there, folks, and welcome back to ZSR. We have got yet another race for you tonight. We haven't had near enough races today. Clearly, we need one more to cap off the night. We have got more A Link to the Past NMG tournament action going on. We have got KainDeschain versus Kyong, and we have got qualified commentators here. Misanthropic Buddha, Mukamod, I will pass it over to your competent hands.
Hey guys, how's it going? So for this race, Buddha has put together some very interesting stats to sort of see how these racers stack up against each other. So hopefully he'll tell you a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, of course. So ran through the numbers here, and so just so for those of you who aren't aware, both Kain and Kyong here have a 3-second difference in their PBs. It's here. Kyong sitting at a 125.43. Kain is at a 125.46. Now, the more interesting thing that I had noticed when I was doing the math is that if you take the average of all of the times for both runners are sitting at a 128.14. So this should be a bit of a barn burner. It should be a good race, hopefully.
All right, and off we go. Now, my question to you about these stats is there a lot of variance in race times? Does one tend to have like really good and really bad runs, and is one kind of more in like the 127, 128 range consistently?
From what I remember I don't have the spreadsheet right now, but yeah, unfortunately, the standard deviations were pretty high for both. I remember one of them specifically had, especially in the group stages, I think had two 129s, and then all of a sudden there was like a random 127. So they're kind of all over the place, unfortunately, but hopefully they'll still see a good race today.
Mm-hmm. Very similar skill level. It's always a fun thing to see.
Yeah, and I believe they are both on console as well. Because I saw Kyong earlier. He had the SNES Classic, and I think Kane's on a SD to SNES.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a relatively recent switch for him. He was on SNES Classic until last year. Okay.
And like, because I've never used a SNES Classic, what's the difference, if anything?
In my experience, it's like an extra frame-ish, maybe 2 frames of input delay. So if you're used to running on console, you're going to bonk into walls if you switch over to SNES Classic. It's a noticeable difference. Although the SNES Classic is good enough that you can get very competitive times with it.
Okay, excellent. As both Kain and Kyong both got the key guard there and now making their way to the back. Again, for pretty much almost everyone who's been here, pretty self-explanatory with escape at this point. Really, I guess the only problem area, quote-unquote, would have to be ball and chain.
Mm-hmm. Just a little bit of small RNG reaction here and there in some of the later app especially.
Well, yeah, the back becomes definitely a bit more of a crapshoot, given rats and snakes and all that. But let's see, do both of these runners do the 8/?
Couldn't tell you. We're gonna find out though.
All right. Kain opting for 1 pot, which is fine. As Kyong going for 8/. Kyong having a little bit of trouble there, but manages to get it, so that's good. Took a little bit of damage though, so we'll see how that affects him later on. And Kain is first out the gate. Unfortunately, Kyong did have a slightly different RNG with the guard, so he had to waste a little bit of time there to boom him out of the way.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of dangerous doing the boomerang there instead of just killing him, because sometimes the guard's invisible search beam can deflect your boomerang and you end up just walking into him. A lot of players will just opt to kill the guard if he goes that way.
Yeah, I learned that. I definitely learned that the hard way with that particular position because I think all of us at one point or another have thrown the boomerang, realized it doesn't connect, and then, as you just said, you run into them. All right, so both are making the way up. Kain managed to get past the one guard. Let's see if Kyung will do the same thing. Had similar RNG, so that's good there.
This is really what we're looking for with Escape. Like you said, the ball and chain guard is where the majority of your time variance is going to come from. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward movement.
Yeah, the movement isn't. Yeah, like what you're saying, the movement isn't anything too drastic outside of the ball and chain. But like what you also mentioned earlier, as Kain is the first one to show up to, when you hit to the back here, when you hit all these dark rooms, that's when the RNG, the variance now starts to kind of matter here. Like for Kain didn't have the rat to worry about, whereas Kyung did get the rat, unfortunately there. Kain,
and there's also a good like 3 seconds in variance in the worst to best key rat RNG. So
okay. And really, unfortunately, neither Kain or Kyung had great snakes. Kyung a little worse. It seemed like they all were right in his path, sadly.
The one right before that chest, he did a good job reacting to that one because it doesn't usually come towards you, and you want to stay tight to that corner when you come around. So good job not taking additional damage there.
Right, Kain got the blind throw there with the boomerang. Good for him. And Kyung, the rat came to him. Unfortunately, another rat came to him when he didn't want. A little bit of a party for Kain here, unfortunately. Kyung, well, similar situation, sadly. Okay. Go ahead.
One thing you can kind of do when you're looking at that key rat RNG, when they first start to move, you see inside the light cone before they move, you can see which direction they're going to go. So you kind of want to keep track in the back of your mind where you think the last 2 rats are going to be as you're exiting the room.
Okay, no, that's interesting to note there. And looked to be about a 3 second difference there. Kain getting to Sanctuary first. So let's see if he will take Sank Heart. Pretty much every race that as Kyung does, pretty much every runner I've seen, at least in the races, has taken Sank Heart, which not a bad thing.
It's a very good safety in the situation. And he recovered well as well as picking up the priest frames too for an additional 70-ish frames. So, and he'll get that tacked on at the beginning of this segment. So,
okay, very nice. I mean, pretty decent. Pretty simple movement here. Octorox is where the first possible RNG issues could occur. Kain gets through his pretty well. As does Kyung, very good. Now, heading Eastern Palace Overworld.
I like how he did that little nudge to the left for the last Octorok, just in case he wanted to get aggressive on him.
Yeah, it was good anticipation there. Alright, so he booms the guard, gets out of the way. Unfortunately, Kyung takes a hit from the Octorok. The Octorok and the Armos guard weren't really in the best position.
Yeah, I feel like Kyung is trying to preserve the prize pack, whereas Kain is just going out with sword flying and has the green rupee dropped already.
Right.
In that situation where the Octorok is under the Armo statue, you can't really boomerang it at all.
Right. And Kain does get the blue drop, does get the blue rupee, so now I believe he's on the red drop now.
He's on the red drop now, so that could potentially save him a little bit of time if next couple drops go his way.
Right. He gets a clean, an open pre-Staphos room into Corset Staphos room. 2 pots, 2 kills, very good. Alright, and same for Kyung. Excellent. So now, I guess really the next... Of course, really, when it comes to Eastern, the only thing to really concern yourself, or at least in the immediate future, is that big key damage boost that'll happen here in, about a minute and a half. But of course, there is a little bit of... Could be some RNG here in this next room where Kain is possibly, depending on how the Stalfos pattern goes, but not too bad. Stalfos, well, the first Stalfos got a little bit in the way, but nothing too crazy. And then, of course, Kyong had to walk around one of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, sometimes you can get some really weird aggressive patterns in there.
Yeah, it's very odd. I always find it odd when they get in the way. It's very weird. And Kain gets it. So yeah, you just tink off the enemy, and with the iframes can get the pot, or can hit the button to go through all those anti-fairies, and you get yourself that. So, and also I missed it. Kyung, I guess, got himself a blue ruby as well.
Mm-hmm. That's one particular trick that, for some reason, people tend to struggle with well beyond the skill level that you would think they should, but it takes a really long time to get that room figured out.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I remember from talking to you and a bunch of other people, a bunch of other, better runners, that really this back half of Eastern, while it's the beginning, is really one of the toughest things to optimize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are a couple dungeons in the light world, like Hera especially. The difference in actual tech that you're doing between a high skill level and a very advanced skill level is probably a couple seconds worth of time difference just in tech, and
right,
it can be really, really hard to fully optimize.
Oh, absolutely. Kain got a good cannonball room and good ZGR. And he also got the 20 drop, so that's also really good for him. Whereas Kyung, unfortunately, the red drop was way off to the left, so he wasn't able to get it. Kain with the good Armos fight as Kyung as well. So both had a good back half of Eastern, as now they're both going to head the way to Saha, so they can go get themselves some boots.
Aside from a little slip up with ball and chain, Kyung is having a very solid race so far. Only a few seconds behind here.
Right, and then of course, for those of you, I see a lot of familiar names here, but for those of you who may be new or may be lurking, it's one of those things that, while it may start to look like the gap will widen, there are many times throughout this, or throughout the whole run, where, gaps will widen and shorten in different places, and what we're hoping for is it all kind of shows up at the end where, we have a race like what Kain had with John Rossum's earlier in this tournament.
Mm-hmm. That was incredible. They were maybe a couple of frames apart, dropping in again, and
right. So both are skipping Saha rupees, so now they make their way out. Of course, both
good spin speed by Kain.
Excellent. Yep, both hit the spin speed. So now they're going to make their way to the book. The pathing, or in terms of routing, if you will, they're the only real difference. I don't even think it's substantial, is whether or not they're going to do spin speed to the library or not.
Mm-hmm. And that's maybe a half a second or so variance if you choose not to do that.
And Kain opting not.
I know Airy, for example, chooses not to do the library spin speed, and he's only 12 seconds off a world record. So if it's good for him, do whatever you like. As long as your movement is tight and consistent, you can basically do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I've learned as well. Kain does get the spin speed going out, which I've been told is a little more important than the one going in. Kyung also gets the spin speed, and so right now they're having a pretty, barring commentator's curse, seem to having a pretty decent overworld so far.
Nothing out of the ordinary for either of them.
No, and of course Kain does the early... Oh, both Kain and Kyung do the early switch to the book.
Mm-hmm.
I swear, I feel like I'm the only one who switches to the book right at the front door, but that's just me, I guess.
This is really what you hope for at this skill level, is just several minutes of continuous gameplay without any real noticeable mistakes.
Right now, all looks fine for the most part. Kain got the distance. Unfortunately, Kyung did not. He He touched his tablet. Kain going for the dash. Okay.
You never want to touch your tablet.
This is true. So now we'll see how this movement goes in here in the Eastern Palace. Eastern Palace. Desert. Good lord. It's late for me. It's late for me.
Western Palace.
Whatever. I know Moogle just woke up. I'm about ready to go to bed.
You know, you're actually not wrong. I woke up less than an hour ago. I took a little nap after work.
There you go. Proud of you. And I've been awake since 4. So, you know, there we go. So, when it comes to the front here, not much of the RNG department, except for, I guess, Cannonball Room would really be the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, and there's a couple tricks that you can do to sort of gauge if the RNG is going to go in your favor or not, but, you know, Kain getting the good RNG, fortunately.
Yep, as did Kyong, so they both got, you know, the good RNG, which means don't stop, you get to just dash all the way through.
But
Vortex has a question in the chat. Why the big difference? Vortex, the big difference of what? So meanwhile, let's see here. Well, both. So while usually when we come across the pre-glove room, I was
15
curious.
or 7 gloves. It's pretty solid.
Yeah. What I'm always curious about though is just I always like to keep an eye on rupee count. So Kain, of course, is at 25, which, you know, that's really good for when the tree pulls later, as Kyong only has 7, which is not the whole thing.
If he doesn't get up to 9, it's going to cost him a little bit of time later going out of the way for the 4th blue, but it's pretty insignificant overall. It's less than half a second.
Right. I mean, yeah, just because it feels like forever, though, because it feels like there's so much more lag when you have to go for that 4th one. Ah, okay, so Vortex making a joke that did not land, sadly. It's okay, Vortex. Maybe in another time it might have landed. Yes, it's an insurmountable lead.
All right, so Kyong getting his 9 rupees, so he should be able to do
excellent.
Good movement for 3 rupees now. So that's pretty much all we're worried about. As long as you get 4 rupees by the time you leave Hera, you're in good shape.
Right. Unfortunately, Kyong did miss the bottom left torch. That'll cost a little bit of time there. Let's see how Kain's Lambo fight goes. Okay, got contact in the first cycle. Got 1 down.
Got 5 arrows in. Kyong also getting 5 arrows in the first cycle, so...
Oh, and he also got 1 down. I believe Kain now is on, I think this is going to be his 4th cycle. Ooh, that's not good.
Wow.
Whoa,
okay.
Wow, okay.
So we're at 4 cycles and 7 now?
I believe that's right, yeah. Unfortunately, I think Kain might have miscounted a little bit there, but... Oh well.
So it looks like Kyong is going to recover approximately 20 seconds in variance from the boss fight here. So just like that, Lee can change hands. There's a couple of heavy RNG points like that in this run.
Absolutely. And Kain... Okay. Kain not opting for Cactus Dash.
And I say heavy RNG, like 20 seconds over an hour and a half is a lot, but that's pretty much the biggest RNG variance from bosses that you're going to see, or at least hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with not as much variance. Oh, wait, Kyong, wait a minute. Okay, all right, he's in. Oh, all right, Kain with a little smoother. But what I was trying to say is that, yeah, I feel like, especially in Light World, the 2 big variances in terms of time is obviously the Lanmo fight and then also Moldorm as well. Not including blue balls from Aga 1.
And Hera, if you can consider that, is a dungeon where right now you can easily lose 15 seconds in this segment, and that's typically more variance in a segment than you want to see at these guys' skill level.
Yeah, because there's just mainly because the bomb jumps and not failing those and not getting middle hold. It really falling is going to be the big concern. Well, in Hera, but of course because this is Death Mountain.
Sometimes the squirrels and cabbages can be extremely aggressive, and you have to just wait for them to rain down on you before you can do your spin speed. It can be extremely costly in health and time.
Yeah, so Kyong was the perfect example of that. As the old man was going in, he was stuck, and he took a hit. Unfortunately, got hit twice, so third try spin speed for Kyong, first try for Kain.
Kain was able to recover all of his deficit from that, so...
Yeah.
Just like that, Death Mountain can be very, very aggressive, and there's little you can do about it. The only thing you can do is execute well and hope for decent RNG.
That's about it, because really for Death Mountain, you just want to try to get in. You want to get into Hera not beeping. That's really all I ever kind of gun for personally.
Kyong losing about 13 seconds on his overworld.
Man. Alright. Good, nobody did the early mirror. That's good. Of course, nice movement by Kain. And by Kyong as well. Excellent.
Yeah, I like that movement by both of them. That was very good.
Yeah, that one's always a bit dodgy.
Yeah, you get that thing that you saw from Kyong where he's going to do the pot spin speed, where the mini Moldorm is going to push you to the right and you get the Kadongo fire at the same time, but you still have the option to damage boost through the fire and save time. And
so Kyong, of course, from the Yoho school of speedrunning. And here I thought no one did pot spin speed anymore. Well, it is true, Kaz. That is in fact not Yoho. Kain with the quick torches there, as Kyong as well. So now both will mirror out and make their way up. So, as Moogle said earlier, this is where really things can go south because they have to be careful. Because everything seems to have like a huge rubber banding effect, and then also holes everywhere for some reason.
I would have liked to see Kain put that beetle into the hole from the top side, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, and important to note, Kyong was able to pick up his arrows, whereas Kain was not able to. Not really a huge deal now, but it might be a bigger deal later on.
It's going to depend on if drops go their way in mimics.
Right. And so let's see here. Okay.
Kyong opting to do the spin speed version of the bomb jump, which typically can save up to about a half a second if you don't time your bonk well.
No, I didn't know that. And Kyong also earlier did hit the switch, so he's probably going to grab himself a heart or two. And okay, here we go.
And so Kain just going to YOLO it.
I guess so. Let's see here. Moldorm, always a fun fight for everybody. Everyone loves Moldorm. It's a fantastic fight. The head, for whatever reason, is made solely out of springs, and this is the problem for Kyong. Unfortunately, he fell.
That fall's going to cost him about 20 seconds.
Oof. I mean, fortunately it wasn't the middle hole, because how much time do you lose if you get middle hold?
At least double that. Yeah, Kain also getting a really bad left side pattern. So Moldorm is one of those bosses. It's if he camps the left side, you really can't afford to wait for him to come out. So you have to do some risky maneuvers to sort of get hits in on him, and sometimes it can go really wrong, like in Kyong's case.
Right, but fortunately Kyong did not fall again, managed to get the pendant, and so now is... Go ahead.
Kain also had a really bad Moldorm pattern and had to wait for him to come out, so Kyong was able to recover at least half of that loss from falling, so still keeping it pretty tight.
Yeah, both opting to not do the spin speed, which of course is, I mean, that's risky anyway, given of Katy Perry sitting right there.
Mm-hmm.
Kain, all right, Kain gets the good dash out, and so because of the 26 rupees, he doesn't really need to get that many. So yeah, as just seen there, he gets his 2, kills the bird, and now be able to make his way over, whereas Kyong is also opting for 2, but is going to take the path of Crab Bush. There you go.
That's really interesting that he chose to go less than 24, when if you do the movement where you dash up the left side, he would have picked up the appropriate amount of rupees. I'm sure he's aware of his rupee count. I'm just curious what he's going to do.
Right, yeah, I'm sure for especially runners of this caliber, like, they're fully aware of it. It wasn't like an oversight. It was just, you have to react to the situation. And it looks like both had a pretty good Master Sword grab. At least what newer runners don't seem to realize is that you don't actually have to walk all the way up the stairs there to grab the Master Sword. You can actually kind of just reach out and just grab it. Now, of course, the big worry here is before getting to that tree that has the red rupees, they have to make sure not to take any damage, because then that messes up the tree count quite a bit. And there's a lot of things here that can just surprise you when you least expect it. But for Kain, at least, no problems there. He gets his reds.
Kyong lost his bomb prize pack drop, but you don't really need that one, so it should be fine as long as he doesn't make any errors.
Right. And Kyong, of course, he's at his 102.
Maybe he'll get a lucky drop in Gold Knights. That would be the ideal situation.
Yeah, because not always, obviously, but yeah, they seem, it always feels like they have a higher drop rate for rupees for some reason. So far, pretty solid overworld so far. Really, it's important that both of these runners want to have beams, if really for nothing else, but really for this first room here.
There's a 3 out of 8 chance anyway that the right Gold Knight will drop a 5 or a red in front of the door.
Kain, of course, getting the all-important fairy skip. That's good. And unfortunately, Kyong took a hit. So now he's going to spend some extra time in here, and didn't even get the drop, sadly. And so, Kyong not opting for fairy skip, but actually went ahead and took the spin there. So now, that could be problematic later. We'll see what happens when we get to Hammer Yump and Pod.
He's potentially gambling his Turtle Rock Fairy away. Which, honestly, in my opinion, at these guys' skill level, it's kind of just an additional safety. It's not a necessity at this point. If you have a good Turtle Rock, you shouldn't need a fairy.
That is also true, too. Just some behind-the-scenes information. I have been told that people are now back with ravioli. That is all. Okay, so...
That's good info.
It is.
Okay, so he does go for Suicide Pod. It's interesting.
Yes. I've never done Suicide Pod. I always forget that there's a 5er there. Alright, let's see how Circle Pots go. Go ahead, sorry.
Kain is fully 2 rooms ahead now, so... having a little bit of issue there, so... it's a pretty significant lead Kain is building, but we're going into Aghanim, so it can all go away just like that. So we'll see if the blue ball RNG goes to one runner's favor or another. If Kyong really needs some help right now, because his later half of Light World has been pretty rough the last couple of segments.
Yeah, it's been unfortunate, but like what you just said, though, this either can kind of blow it open or easily
be the great equalizer.
Easily shut it down again, yeah. Kain opting for the rare right path. I haven't seen that in quite a while.
That's his signature move right there.
There we go. Trademarked. Alright, now here we go. For Kain here, let's see. Of course, the first one's always guaranteed. Alright, and now it starts.
The next 3 are not, and each blue ball loses 6 seconds.
Right, so...
So I guess I'll watch Kyong.
Alright, I'll watch Kain. Kain is at 2. And you'll notice that for both runners, a way to kind of possibly save some time, is to rebound Aga towards the middle if possible.
Kyong getting 3 blue balls in the first cycle, so he already really needs to not see anymore.
And Kain is now sitting at 4. 5.
And Kyong getting the first 4 in a row, so Aga's really on a tear today. It's worth noting that it's only a 1 out of 3 chance to get more than 4, and both of these guys have gotten 5 now, so that's pretty atypical.
Yeah, Kain now unfortunately sitting at 6. 7.
If Kyong can get out of here with 5, he's going to be in a good spot. 6 for Kyong. Just don't give him 7. Gain that 12 seconds back. All right.
Okay. So Kain gets a 7.
Kyong will also get 7.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Well, that's always a good thing too. They get the same amount of RNG time loss, so it's a fair race all the way around. You like to see it.
Yeah. So at least now, and now if Kyong needs to make up time, it'll just be now more on skill level now than worrying about that RNG nightmare of Aga 1. But so far, all right. So far this is good. So I guess when it comes to immediately, this now, at least in my opinion, starts to get a little more dangerous just because this pod overworld in general, I feel it can be very dangerous. Probably not for these runners, but just in general it can be, just because of the amount of damage it feels like everything can take. Kain with the spin speed off the pyramid. Now gets through this area here. The bombs were kind. Now let's see here. Gets past the dog. Of course, has to get past Murderdactyl. Kyong also gets the good pattern there, so this would be good. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar, you have to be really careful here once you pick up the monkey, because Kiki, of course, requires 10 rupees, so you can go on a walk with you, but then needs 100 to open the gate. So you have to be careful with that, because if you get hit at any point, Kiki will jump back to a spot, and you need another 10 rupees. Good Kiki Dash by Kain. Minimizing.
Rupees to spare, though. Still
That's also true. That's also true. Whereas Kyong not in that position, but manages to get through it fairly easily. And not as good of a Kiki Dash, but kind of like the normal one. But still, not too bad.
I'll be curious to see if either of them are doing spin speed Helma.
Yeah, that'll be the big. They'll be curious to see there. Now, of course, for any runner, for this game, really one of the big tricks, well, one of the many bomb jumps that are a big deal is, of course, the hammer jump, because it's such a time save in comparison to doing it the vanilla way.
Yeah, this trick is the second biggest time save in the route, next to Ice Palace Bomb Jump, that is allowed as far as glitches.
Right. Unfortunately, Kain, in that bombable floor segment, had the bomb a little too high, took a heart of damage, so could be problematic later on, but we'll see.
He still has his Helmasaur heart prize pack on deck, so there's a 50% chance that Bridge Helmasaur drops his heart and he doesn't have to go out of his way for health, which is nice. It'll save him a second or so if it happens.
Right, because I believe the only other time you can pick up a heart that's that's on the way would be in Sexy Statue Room. All right, so now Kain is now up to bat first. Nice key dash. Well, we'll see if takes the bump for safety. Not a bad thing. Not a bad idea. Lines himself up. He does get the heart. Very good. And all the pause
We're going to
buffers.
see 5 buffers from Kain.
All right.
Each of those pause buffers to set up that position is going to cost him about a second. Kyong also getting his prize pack fairy, which, as we talked about before, now that prize pack is no longer available for the Turtle Rock segment where you really need it the most in this run. So hopefully he has a clean Turtle Rock because he's really, really going to need it now.
Yeah, because while what Moogle said is true, that these are, both great runners and they both, can handle Turtle Rock, it's more imperative, especially when we get near the end game, that everything hurts for a lot more damage than even what they're going through now.
If Chain Chomps decide they want to eat you today, there's very little you can do about it.
You will be victim to the Chomps. Kain getting decent Mimics room, unfortunately no arrow drops. And so he will not hit to the back. Whereas, let's see how Kyong does here. Oh, gets the 5 drop right in front of him, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see later on how the routing may change a little bit, or if, not routing, but to see if Kain might pick up an extra pot here or there to get some of the arrows back. And so Kain now heading into Turtle Party. See if he can have a clean hammer spin. He does get it.
This is one of those rooms that's kind of a little screwy, because if one of those bottom turtles wants to wander off, there isn't really much you can do about it. You just got to do a backup strat. But Turtle's being pretty good today.
Unfortunately, Kyong, didn't have to flip over the turtle, but unfortunately wasn't able to get as clean of a turtle party. Kain not opting for spin speed. He's going to do it, as I like to think of it, the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, I see Kain as kind of being the old man that's set in his ways.
Whereas Kyong does the hammer, it does spin speed, yeah. So pretty much the difference there, for those of you who are not familiar, is simply with the spin speed, without getting too technical, it allows essentially for Helma's hitbox to be larger. Where the jewel and
Kyong just tanking that fireball and going in. He had a very, very good fight considering the RNG.
Yeah, no, he had an excellent fight and able to make back hopefully some of that time. Because I saw near the end there that Kain kind of went for slashes to finish off Helma. Get off my lawn, Moogle mod. Okay, very good.
And now we have these wonderful crystal cutscenes that last upwards of 55 seconds after every dungeon.
And now this is the time as well where they actually have to pay attention to where they kill the boss, because some of you may or may not be familiar with that, where you catch the crystal does matter. So when leaving Pod, really the biggest concerns are really the murder dactyls and possibly getting lottoed.
Kyong with a gold pod, really? Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. Well, felicitations.
I'm surprised to see a gold with a 612 to 613 at Kyong's skill level, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Kain with a clean hammer dash. As Kyong. So they both are going to be making their way to Stumpy. Which, of course, Stumpy, there is a chance for a quick warp, depending if they get the right spot. We'll see how Kain handles that first, as he has to mash to win.
But I feel like I should say, though, that's an indicator that his PB is much closer to his true skill level.
Right. 2 dig for Kain. But he did get the quick warp. Kyong also got the quick warp. 1 dig. So, alright. That's good. So now, definitely, as we said before, the spin speed to the library wasn't required. This one here, I feel like almost is, just so you can try to get past that 1 red guard, as we call Usain Bolt. Unfortunately, Kyong did not get the spin speed first try, had to start it up again, but didn't have to worry about the red guard. And so now they're heading, now we have to sit here and wait for, for the flute. So, yep, this is the time, if you want to meme and chat, this is now the time.
Get your fluteboy.pngs out.
So now Kain making his way back and get through 3 musketeers. Three musketeers, that is such a tough room. Really is. Kain gets through it.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where once you get high up enough on the screen that the third guard starts moving, if your movement isn't really tight after that, he's going to get down in your way.
Yeah, something that I forget often, sadly. Kain, unfortunately, gets 1 fairy to pop, so that gave him a little bit of lag. Whereas for Kyong, got a heart and a rupee. I don't know how or if that lag equates at all. So, in Thieves Town, the only real issue, at least in my opinion, is going to be Hellway, because that can be a huge time suck if the Patrick Stars or the Annie Fairy wants to get in the way. So we'll see how they will handle that situation.
Yeah, Thieves Town is definitely one of the lower skill cap dungeons in the Dark World. It's pretty typical to see people be able to play Thieves Town really close to their gold compared relative to other dungeons.
Yeah, usually definitely for a higher skill player, the variance is low. Unfortunately, Kain didn't have the dash high enough. Let's see how he has the pixel. Unfortunately, the Patrick Star denied him anyway. So that's the other problem too. You can get the pixel where you should be able to dash through, as Kyong just showed. But unfortunately, Kain also got it. But as you also saw from his screen, you can straight up be denied.
Yeah, this is absolutely true.
And so you also want to be careful with these grasshoppers, because they do a lot of damage, surprisingly. Now, of course, with Kain here, and as Kyong is going to do, unfortunately, Kyong having a little bit of trouble there, but manages to get the bomb. Again, for those of you who are not familiar, you do have to waste the time to go all the way up here to bomb that hole, otherwise you will not be able to fight blind.
This, fortunately, is a dungeon where you're typically not overly concerned about health. If you don't get completely atrocious horsehead RNG throughout this dungeon, blind is, as they've said 1,000 times, is a scripted fight. So if you stay on script, you really don't expect to take very much damage at all in this segment.
Yeah, that's what's nice about, and that's one of the other nice things about Thieves Town, is that you can take a little more damage as opposed to some of the other dungeons, and it's not real threatening.
Sometimes that orange horsehead will walk up between the jail cells and shoot a fireball at you while you're trying to dash down, and there's so many obnoxious things that could potentially happen.
Yes, definitely. And Kain gets out. Of course, Kain does that slash there to allow the jelly to do its, shocking business. Picks up the arrows as well, as both do. In the okay. Kain needed to know where he was. That's fine. Kyong also manages to get through there.
Kyong having a much cleaner segment overall.
Definitely, yeah. And so, as Moogle said, this is, as we all know, as we meme all the time, this blind's a scripted fight.
And he's really starting to turn it up in Dark World. He's had 2 good segments in a row.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Kain with the clean fight. Kyong right behind him. So yeah, like I said, these are both... It's a good blind fights, but definitely Kyong is starting to pick up, which, you know, kind of at the time where you want to start picking it up, definitely in the Dark World, if your Light World ain't great. Because that end game is always going to be really the tough thing to try to deal with. So now both runners are going to be going through the trouble here of actually going to grab the Smith, or the Frog, which turns into the Smith, so they can get the Tempered Sword. Because in the long run, this Tempered Sword is going to save time as opposed to trying to stick with the Master Sword. And of course, one of the neat little things there is that, yeah, you can actually throw the bomb before you... you can actually throw the bomb before you actually reach the front of it, so it allows for a slightly faster opening of that hole.
Right through the corner of the house. I don't understand how that works.
I don't either. I don't either. I don't pretend to understand any of this. I just play the game.
That's what I say. I don't know how it works. I just push the buttons.
Correct. I don't fully understand how in one pixel you can get fence dash and then there's another pixel where you can't. So I don't know. And there's many other instances of that, not just fence dash. Also, thank you, Pirate, for redeeming the sacrifice to the RNG, and thank you, Malcon, for redeeming Blame Trez.
It's definitely Trez's fault. I agree.
Always is. So now, of course, I don't know how tricky this is, but it is something to be mindful of when you... Because in order to get tempered, you have to leave the screen and come back, but you do run the risk of walking to the portal, which that is a huge time loss in comparison to just walking, you know, off the screen and then coming back in.
I mean, if you're aligned with that sign above you when you're entering the screen and you mirror immediately without moving up, there's a pretty generous amount of space to dash through above that portal, so it's not super risky.
Oh, okay.
Kain gets the fence dash.
It does, and Kyong as well. Look at this. We got a couple gamers. Couple gamers in the building. Now, definitely... Well, I don't know about these two, but this is now just from personal experience, coming up to really one of the tougher rooms in this game. Of course, I'm referring to Mummy Room, where it can be a little bit RNG dependent, but it's really going to see in how well they can react to whatever RNG they deal with.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't look exactly synchronized on our end, but before that bonk from Kyong, they were essentially tied less than a second here.
Right. Unfortunately, Kain was able to react well to the Mummy as Kyong. Excellent. Well, unfortunately, though, the Mummy really trying to get in there, but he was
both
quick
of them
enough.
Getting some really unfortunate patterns.
Yeah, but at least they didn't take damage. They were able to recognize that pattern and able to pull the statue as opposed to just trying to, you know, tough it out and push it.
Yeah, good reactions. Kain kind of gambling that ropa dash there. Kyong as well, a little scary. Sometimes that guy can jump down and bop you. You really don't want to be taking 2 additional hearts of damage in this segment. This isn't the place where you want to get hit.
No, because optimally you would be taking 2, as Kain showed, you're going to be taking 2 hits or 2 hearts of damage right now. And okay, so both had clean bomb jumps to get the fire rod. Again, as mentioned earlier, every bomb jump is a huge time save as opposed to doing whatever the vanilla path may be. Now, of course, before you head to the back, you want to make sure to grab the key under the pot, as both men are going to do. And then just make your way to the back. So I don't really think there's any sort of real... there really isn't much of the way of danger here.
The back of Skull Woods is one of the most fun stretches in the game for me. It's it's less than a minute of just raw movement.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's such a fun section.
It is. I mean, and again, there are, little possibilities for some different RNG, but really for both of them, pretty good. Kain having a little bit of trouble in the room after torches, but recovered nicely. Got the key. And going to head into Moth. Alright, so Moth, of course. Very interesting. Let's see if he gets the double poke. He got the double hit. Okay.
And he's going to buffer there. Okay, very good.
Very good. I couldn't tell.
Wow.
Kyong also got it. Wow, excellent.
Incredible RNG for both of them.
Yep, well done. The one spike and then zero spike disappearance, so that is really, really good. But yeah, of course, for those of you who are not familiar, you need to be careful with Moth because for whatever reason, if she's hanging out in the spikes and you try to slash, you don't actually do damage. The spikes somehow eat it. So I don't fully get it.
The spikes, funny enough, are coded to do gold sword damage, so the gold sword also does no damage to Moth in the vanilla game if you happen to be able to get it early.
Yeah, so that's something to kind of keep in mind. So now, of course, we were talking before about how you don't want to take damage and whatnot. This is really now, at least one of the places you really do not want to take damage is the Ice Palace split. Because you really want to have all of your health for really the entire overworld, in my opinion anyway. Kain activating his flute to set up for Spooky for later. Kain, will he get the quick warp? Yes. Kyong does not.
So worth noting here, Kyong's timer is a few seconds behind, so he's actually a couple of seconds ahead here, even though it doesn't appear that way. So he has retaken the lead officially now.
Right. Ooh, Kyong
Getting that
unfortunately
lottery.
got lottoed, which is unfortunate. But he does have a chance to regain some hearts, though. But if they're chances in 50-50. And he didn't get the.
Does go for it.
Yeah. Did Kain get quick fish?
I wasn't watching him. I don't think he goes for a quick fish.
Okay. Alright, so now Kain getting through there. Alright, so Kyong got one heart back, so unfortunately he couldn't get the 50-50 for both.
So he's not going to have sword beams for Ice 2, but as long as he doesn't take any more damage, he'll get sword beams back for Ice Conveyor, which is a huge time save if you get the right RNG.
Right. And of course, this is one of the... Unfortunately, Kain took a little bit of a dip.
So did Kyong.
Mm-hmm. This... Man, just this whole area, to try to do optimally, I mean, I don't know.
The actual edges of the water are extremely deceiving, and some of the dashes that are possible are very, very tight. It's really cool to see perfect Zora River movement.
Yeah, seeing this done optimally is always a nice sight. So like what Kyong kind of showed there, normally you don't think you could run in the dark water, but because, as Moogle said, it's kind of deceiving where the dark water and light water really are. It allows for that extra movement. Kain having a little bit of trouble here going into the portal.
I kind of disagree with trying to farm the heart from that crab, because you're not really losing anything by fire rotting the jelly in Ice 2. It's going to cost him more time than it's worth to go for it. Right.
And so that's why you may have heard earlier why Kain got the flute. And so this is... Okay, so this is not too bad. Alright, so really you want the beams for this part here as Kyong just crossed, just because that jelly could, in fact, if it started to shock, he was kind of stuck there, had to wait. And if you tried to fire rod that jelly, then you have to wait for the fire animation. But fortunately, neither of those things happened and was able to get it. So now heading into the bombable floor segment.
Let's see if we get any trolley jelly patterns.
Yeah, so you really have to be... Kain gets the clean one.
And he decides to sword beam that left jelly, which it's not a bad idea, because sometimes that guy can sneak up on you and get in your way so you can't throw the bomb, and that costs a few seconds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Both of them back to full health, and this is really where you want sword beams. You see Kain using the sword beam to get that key jelly, and then he can just dash straight through.
Unfortunately, Kyong was not able to capitalize on that.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, that isn't good.
That's not going to work either? Okay, there we go.
Ooh, okay. Okay, that could have been really, really bad, because I don't even know where you can even get bombs at this point.
You can't, unless the prize pack is coming up as a bomb for that jelly. It's not possible to get a bomb at this point.
I mean, yes, also hover to save the run. That's also true there, Taylor. Ooh, stair clip. And the good stair clip. Kain going for the old hammer. The hammer strat's not a bad thing.
But yeah, that's just just to show you how much this run is hanging on a tightrope here. If Kain didn't get in position on that last adjust, it would have been run over. That would have set him back a couple minutes.
Yeah, very much so. But now, everyone's favorite fight, going to Cold Stare. So Cold Stare, especially for like newer runners, you have to be really careful with this fight, because you need to have full magic going in. And then really you want to make sure, really this is definitely one of those bosses where dying is a really, really bad thing, because you essentially have to leave the dungeon and come back in, like, after getting a bunch of stuff. Kyong had a cleaner fight with Cold Stare. Unfortunately, Kain had some problems with the last couple of puffs, but they both didn't die, so the run still continues.
Mm-hmm. And Kyong has really got some good momentum going now. I didn't happen to see what his segment time is, but I'm pretty confident that this is 4 good segments in a row for him.
Yeah. I mean, at least from looking at his splits, he's only been a couple of seconds above gold. So now I am curious to see, though. This is where the path can diverge. Is the whole now it's where do you shop? So both are going to be heading into Swamp Palace. However, will Kyong opt to go shopping now to get Ether and/or Ice Rod, or get him in the Mire Split? We will soon find out. As he will warp his way out to victory. There he goes, and okay, he's going to go. At the very least, he's going to go get Ether now. Unfortunately,
if anything, we could potentially see variants in where they pick up Ice Rod, either now or at the beginning of Turtle Rock.
Cabbages taking their revenge. Both getting hit, both losing 2 hearts in really the exact same spot.
Mm-hmm. We got equal distribution of pain with the cabbages.
Yep. Kyong unfortunately not getting the quick warp in either chance there. Neither did Kain, unfortunately. Okay, no quick warp for anyone in this particular round here. Free flute dash though. Oh, but no dash. Kyong is going. All right, Kyong's going to go get Ice Rod. He's going to take care of that now.
Looks like both of them are gonna stay on the same path here.
Okay, and then Kain is not. Okay, so
no.
Kain will
Okay.
So usually that means Kain will be getting the Ice Rod, or usually the run is you'll get the Ice Rod in the Turtle Rock split.
And for anybody keeping track at home, it's going to be about a 37-second difference from picking up the Ice Rod early.
Someone that's a damn good point. Kain doesn't have a bomb. So I mean, yeah, you could 50-50, one of the rocks, but
My guy's got a point. And you get a couple of free bomb opportunities in Swamp, so this is a good place to restock. Especially because you may want to take the additional safety for the bombable wall in Mire in case you fail Spooky. That's an option that I see some people take just as an extra precaution. And I think it's fair to go for in this case, because if you get in that situation and you are out of bombs in Mire Basement, that's going to set you back another 2 minutes.
right. So a nice clean entry there for Kain, though. Kain's going to probably pick up the bomb here as well as the key. Very good. I wasn't paying attention whether either of them got the quick orb. It didn't look, at least with Kyong that I just saw, it didn't look like it. Alright, Kyong also getting a good opening waterway there. So let's see how... Ooh, that was close. I believe, is it true that if you can grab the bottom and it reduces lag frames?
Yeah, it's true. It's just really difficult to save time with it, in my opinion. And it's not a whole lot of time save anyway. It's going to be like 8 to 10 frames if your movement is clean.
Yeah, I've heard, and as Chex actually has now joined the stream, I remember Chex stating in one of his streams outright, quote, "It's cursed," unquote. So, and that, yes, I do agree with that.
It's one of those small strats that if you don't go for, it's never going to make or break your run. Those are the kind of strategy variances that aren't going to separate like a 124 runner from a 125.
Right, definitely not. And so, all right. So Kain now is hit the switch, and he remembers to hit the switch back on the way in, or on the way out. I mean. Okay, good. And so now, yeah, I guess Kain will be making his way, well, as Kyong here in a bit, will be making their way to Sociable Firebar. They got to go get themselves a big key. And of course, you have to hit that switch because to switch the pegs back, because if you don't, you won't be able to get this big key here in a minute. And so good movement by Kain, where he avoided the fireball. Okay, opts just for the dash down. So get himself a big key. So go grab himself a hook shot. Kyong also... Okay. Also didn't get hit.
Going for the cursed hammer dash. That hammer dash. There's actually a few different optional hammer dashes in Swamp that you can go for, and the most you're going to save with any of them is about 15, 20 frames or so. So a lot of people opt not to do them just because it's relatively high risk for the amount of reward.
Right. Now, of course, here, it's kind of hard to tell, but you want to make sure you actually do a hook dash into that in order to have more freedom, be able to move the or pick up that skull with the statue in the way.
Mm-hmm.
But also, as mentioned many times, I'm sure by other commentators as well, if you have the chance to hook shot, you want to hook shot because it's faster than running.
However, I don't think it's faster if you hook twice.
No. And so Kain here, we are... Yep, so as kind of expected there, it's the one time he will get himself give himself a couple bombs back, or sorry, to get a bomb back at least, and some arrows. Oh wow, actually avoided getting hit.
Sometimes friendly Phelps. Not usually, but sometimes.
No, yeah, very rare. Kain, alright, Kain's opting for one cycle.
Kain does not do zero cycle.
No, that's fine.
And he gets one cycle with no movements, so...
That's good, yeah.
if Kyong misses zero cycle, you know, there's no time variance there.
Right. Okay. And yeah, he will not get the zero cycle.
Missing it immediately, it's going to be really... Yeah, it's not going to be possible to recover it without time variance here.
Right.
Another big factor here, slightly less big, is you see that he's got 8 hearts to refill after the dungeon, and that's going to cost 10 frames per, so that's almost a second and a half after the dungeon is over that you lose again for taking damage during the segment, so you get penalized twice for it.
Yeah, so that was unfortunate, and then also have to now... And I'm kind of surprised neither of them actually switched to mirror here as opposed to doing it outside. But
neither one of them went for the fire rod quick kill. You have the option to kill Argus in his second cycle on the first drop if you fire rod twice and then do a spin, and both of them chose to go for the 2 cycle on that.
Right. And so now Kain is gonna get himself out of here. He's gonna head to... Alright, so yeah, he's gonna head to Meyer. So he will be... Go ahead.
It's worth noting that you can actually save a little bit of time getting Argus off screen by using the menu to mirror anyway, even if you don't do the fire rod quick kill, because in the pause menu, Argus continues to move up the screen. So even if you don't go for the quick kill, you should still always menu.
Yeah, usually either to the mirror or the fire rod, depending on your strat. And so, of course, Meyer, the big thing is to make sure to activate Spooky, which starts picking up the rock there at the bottom. Now, hopefully, let's see if we get to clean overworld. Oh, unfortunately, did not get the...
Oh no!
Oh no!
Taking that damage from the BMOS, he wasn't able to get the Wizrobe over the rail.
Yeah.
And didn't have enough time to get there. That's really unfortunate, getting a 3rd cycle in Meyer too.
Yeah, definitely.
So these guys are... Kyong's got a little more of an advantage than what he looks like right now. If he has a clean Meyer too, that's going to put him in a really good spot.
Well, let's see. Kyong... Nope. Nope.
Well, cleaner Meyer too.
Cleaner, yes. The Popo not agreeing, but, circular sword beams, always hard to judge.
We're gonna subtract 37 seconds from Kyong's torch time and try to figure out where we're at here.
Alright, so now Kain will be 10... according to the main one, 106.41 according to the timer that all of you can see on the screen. I like both of your voices, feels very similar to me. Oh, we're actually the same person.
Can confirm.
And then Kyong here, a low 107. So 107.09 it looked like, I think. So you would take off 30 seconds.
37?
Yeah, something like that. Alright, well.
Anyway, I didn't keep track of the math properly, so they're like either 12 or 15 seconds apart, with Kyong having a slight advantage.
Kain,
it's anybody's race, honestly.
It is. Kain went for Spark Gamble. Didn't get it. And now Horse gets that.
Well, I didn't do it properly anyway, so it's cursed.
So it's alright. We let it slide. Clearly, Twin does not want any math. Threatening violence. Just straight up threatening violence. Kyong not going for Spark Gamble, which is fine.
Kain, I'm not sure what his movement through his Robin pots was. I've never seen anyone do that. But that's fine.
It works.
It works. He got through the room.
Yeah. And so the big thing, whenever you see anyone doing the mire split, you want to make sure that you see a little bit of a puff of smoke coming from the feet before dropping the block. So then you can do what Kane's about to do, which, you know, you can hit it. You can hit a spike with a fire rod, and magically you hit a switch. All right, good. So Kain got the two, I guess, in my opinion, like the two big spooky glitches.
If you miss the third one, it's only going to cost you like 2 seconds. So not a huge deal.
Yeah, arguably the middle one's the worst. Okay, so let's see here for Kane's Vidi fight. So ideally, you want to take damage from the slime, not from the eyes.
That was very clean.
Very, very clean. Okay, gets it. Very good.
If I'm being honest, though, at this point, we're less than 15 seconds apart, 2 splits left. It's every second counts at this point. It's going to be hard to claw back time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And let's see here how this goes.
Kyong missing the left side eyeball. That's going to put him in a real difficult spot, because those eyeballs do 4 hearts of damage.
Yeah, so he's opting not to even bother trying to finish out the strat, just instead slashes and arrows.
That was really sketchy. He takes the 3 cycle there, but he stayed alive, so...
Yeah, that's really all that matters. Okay, then. Well, that...
His tournament is not over yet. But...
Yeah. Because at least... While a minor... So, really, again, remember the big difference here, even though it looks like Kyong is fairly far behind. Not the case, of course, just because... Kyong has Ice Rod. Kain now has to go get Ice Rod. And then... So we're going to see who drops into Death Mountain first. It's going to be very, very close. Yeah, it's going to be within 5 seconds. It's got to be. Yeah, they're going to be screen for screen, definitely. Oh, the crab wanting to deny Kain. And, of course,
the guard, too.
Why not have a guard show up? I mean, because reasons.
Now, this is where I'm going to remind you that Kain has a fairy on deck in his prize pack that he's going to be able to pick up at some point, and Kyong does not, so this could be a factor. Yes, as mentioned earlier, we need to see if the chomps are going to cooperate. And Kain is the first one on the mountain. Kyong, less than a second behind. Got a better pattern with the dead rocks. Let's see how the drive-through goes. Wow. Okay. Oh my god. That's only the second time I have ever seen this particular. Huh. Okay. I've never seen it in that position. So, okay, unfortunately Kyong just straight up got pinned. Just straight up got pinned. So that is very unfortunate. You are essentially soft locked for 9 seconds. Yeah. That's so unfortunate. Yeah. Because even in, like, not that they would get it, but even, I think in that state, powder doesn't even work either, right? Oh my god. And he's gonna opt to just wait it out. So for those of you who don't realize about with the dead rocks like that, if you get pinned in any location, what you can do, of course, is you can either leave the screen and come back, or if you can just go off the screen just enough, you can have them reset. But unfortunately, Kyong did opt to wait it out. Thank you, Chex. I thought that was the case. This late in the race, losing 20 seconds on Overworld could be enough to send you home. Maybe. We'll have to see here. Like what you're kind of saying before, we kind of have to see how agreeable the chomps are going to be. The chomps and the chomps and the pokies, honestly. So as Kain makes his way in, of course, you take the backwards route. 3 fire rod shots. Can he get the quick hook shot? He does get the quick hook shot. So now he's going to hit up Roller Room here, where you can get through the first, and he does. So then you take intentional damage from this top roller, so you can get through the second one. Alright, there we go. And he's off to the races.
Unfortunately, Kyong did not get that quick hook shot, so he had to wait for it to move around a little bit more. And Kyong looks like he gets the clean one. Now Kain is getting into the meat and potatoes of Turtle Rock here, so he got his fairy, so that's important. Now these guys, his Ham Nose. Ham Nose, I love Chomps. Chomps are the greatest things of all time. I have nothing but love for them.
Kain taking it nice and slow and safe. I like that.
Nothing wrong with that. At least go walking in with full hearts. Now, also kind of... Now, this is what we talked like way earlier in the run about... what's... Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. All right.
All right, just wait it out. Just wait it out.
Oh, that's not good. The hit isn't good.
No.
The Chomps didn't want to cooperate, and part of it was the fact that he didn't get that. It was the fact that he lost the fairy earlier.
It is true. It is true that that really cost him that death. And it's like you'll notice one subtle thing is that the chain chomp is attached to the right side of the block. So it's much easier to hit the switch on the left side because you have a little more space over there.
Right.
And the left side was blocked, so Kyong had to gamble the right side. And it just...
And unfortunately, he did get hit again going through, but he managed to get through it. But as Kane's approaching, Pokies 2 can definitely give you a bad day there. Now, what I was going to say earlier, as they're making through this, is, like we mentioned earlier about arrows briefly, this is now where you want to kind of be mindful of your arrow count because you need to have 18 before hitting an Ice Armos. And so, as seen earlier, Kyong actually opted to get the pot. I don't know if Kain did. It doesn't look like Kain did, actually. So, alright, so far Kyong... So Kain was able to get through Crystal Roller in both of the Pokies pretty well here. Kyong, I'll be curious to see. Hopefully he will also have a smooth Pokies 2. As Kain, of course, is making everyone's favorite, the old laser skip. We'll see how he does with that in a moment. Okay, Kyong. Ooh, okay. Not bad, not bad. Reasonable. Kain does get the laser skip, and now he's off. Of course, you want to be careful. Yeah, look good so far. You gotta be careful though. Lasers do 4 hearts, and so Kyong, for those of you who aren't familiar, is essentially with Turtle Rock anyway. He's essentially in one-hit KO. The only time he gets a free hit, if you will, is the room he's coming up to now, where the firebar only does 1 heart of damage.
Okay. And being on 2 hearts, like, say if a Helmasaur knocks him into a pit, that's 2 hearts of damage, so anything kills at this point, so...
Yeah.
You just gotta, like, trust your muscle memory and execute well at this point. There's nothing else you can do.
Yep. Kain so far having an excellent Trinex fight. Did the backdoor strats perfectly. Now let's go back to Kyong real quick. Kyong gets the beetle, gets the skip going in, gets the skip going out. Okay, good. Whereas Kain, real quick, finishing the old Trinex. Kyong taking the safer route, which is not a bad thing because you can get either hit with the anti-fairy or by the Poki. Poki being the worst of the 2 options. Kyong grabbing the heart, though I believe that wouldn't matter anyway because I think don't the heads do? Did the heads do 3 hearts?
The heads do 3.
Okay. Well, let's see how he does now. Okay, good opening. Unfortunately, did the extra menu there, so that'll cost a little bit of time. Whereas misses. Oh, that's not good.
Okay.
Recovered.
That was good.
Yeah, no, that was really good. Because, as I've seen a lot of people, if they miss that fire rod shot, or even the other ice rod shot, that everything goes south.
It's really easy to suicide in that situation. I've done it multiple times.
Same. Unfortunately, Kyong did not get the double spin, but managed to finish off Trinex as well. So Kain heading his way into GT. So this will be. So now we'll see how this goes. A lot of ground for Kyong to make up here, and I don't really know where. I mean, honestly, I think something really traumatic has to happen to Kain for Kyong to really make a comeback here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at this point with a 40-plus second deficit, I'd say it's definitely your race to lose.
Right, so let's see here. Kain, of course, is going to opt to get the key up top, as that's the faster one. Oh, alright, missed the first hammer, but that's okay.
Got a difference of 58 seconds, pretty significant.
Definitely, yeah. So far, well, Kain so far looking, you know, like I said, looking sharp, looking good. Doing all these rooms pretty much, you know, textbook.
Mm-hmm. In this situation in GT, I'm not looking to do anything fancy. I just want to execute well and not take damage. Just walk it in.
Right. And so now, because of arrow count, Kain will probably, well, not probably, he's going to more than likely opt for Bob's chest. So he can have the requisite number of arrows. Okay, yeah, you want to be careful not to hit that portal. God knows how many times I've done that. Kain, okay, so Kain will get the arrows there. So now he will... Like I said, I'm guessing Bob's chest. Oh no, he's going to opt for the one up top.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
It's a good safe option. Sometimes you can take a heart of damage if you don't execute the chest movement correctly.
That is true, because, yeah, there actually is a fairly... You do have to do a different strategy if you want Bob's chest in comparison to just do what Kain just did.
I definitely agree with him going the safe route here.
Yeah. I'm assuming, because he chatted earlier, so he's watching the race, so he knows where he's positioned at the moment. Alright, so now we make our way upstairs, so of course you have to get through the old mimics, and then pretty much the gauntlet, really.
Next minute and a half or so is one of the toughest stretches of the whole game, so...
Oh, absolutely. Of course, interesting to note, because unfortunately Kyong got a bomb drop earlier. To help alleviate that process, he just randomly will drop bombs to help decrease his bomb count for the menu for later. A bit of a miss menu, unfortunately.
At that point, it's kind of... you're not able to get rid of that many bombs.
No, unfortunately. Because the reason they do it is really just so they can get saved a menu for later. Kyong, though, good Ice Armos fight. So at least that means for them they will have the expected fire bat patterns. So as Moogle mentioned earlier... Yeah, so what Moogle mentioned earlier, Gauntlet, this is really the fun, and I use that term loosely, begins, because conveyors and ice everywhere, BMOS every room, and then it's all just a matter of reactionary skills and whatnot.
You get random enemy movement patterns, so you have to figure out which way these two enemies are going to move through the room, and then adjust your strategy accordingly, and this just comes down to repetition, seeing hundreds of patterns and learning to react to anything possible.
So this will be interesting to note because, oh, that's not good for Kain.
That's going to be potentially 3 cycles here.
Yeah, because
that was a really good RNG on the second cycle, though.
Yeah, he got fortunate there. Now I'm worried about his.
It's going to leave him short magic. He's correct about that.
Okay, I was worried about his magic. That was the big worry, because he missed the one fire rod shot earlier. So really, you really can only be allotted one fire rod shot to use. Otherwise, now, as you'll see, Kain will have to kind of take a hell of a path in order to get an extra magic pot. Kain did not get frame rolled or bumped off, so that's always a tricky one. So this in here is where I'm referring to, is that he... Okay. Oh. I thought it was going to be one short.
No, he got the extra magic.
Oh, I missed it. I completely missed it.
Yep.
Okay. By the way, Kyong, though, had a nice clean outing with Lanmo.
That was a very desirable pattern for that boss.
Absolutely.
You don't want the one off the right to bounce away from you, or else you can't get back to the center in time for the third one. It's a whole mess.
Correct. And Kain opting to get the bomb in the room where the two mini helmets were, which is not a bad strategy, just because you can chuck the bomb a little too far into the wall, and it won't actually blow up the wall. Which I don't quite understand that, but yes, it happens.
Yeah, bombs have some pretty special mechanics.
They do.
You can throw the bomb right through the wall in Bob's chest room if you do it wrong.
Yep, same there as well. But Kain was able to get a good Moldorm 2 fight, and was able to... Unfortunately, he had to use 2 hook shots instead of 1. And now... Okay, so for, of course, Aga 2, not as random as Aga 1, because, of course, the 2 copies are always guaranteed to fire the yellow balls, whereas that's not always true for the real Aga. So he starts out with a double. That's good.
The real Aga can only fire a blue ball on cycles 2 and 3.
Well, let's see how this goes here. I mean, he had a good one. That's a nice, very solid 3 cycle. So,
it's pretty good.
Yep. So now 3 cycle for Kain as he heads into the Ganon fight.
This is going to put him in position for a nice mid 127.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, as mentioned earlier, this is pretty much going to be Kain's here, unless, again, something traumatic happens. Let's see how Kyong will do as Kain will enter in his fight. So, 12 hits to win, kind of thing. So phase 1 here, you want to get the first shot in. And I don't know if that was a double or a triple for Kyong. Alright, there's the double there. So now Kain...
That looks like it was a triple. That could have been a 2 cycle. That would have been awesome.
Yeah. And so Kain getting the 1-1, which is good. Now, even though he's sitting okay with 5 hearts of health, you do have to be mindful that the fire bats, when they do the ring thing, they do 4 hearts of damage. Ganon does 8.
Sometimes the nerves can get to you when you're doing a spin near the torch and you can throw yourself off the platform. I've seen it so many times, so it's never a sure thing. You still have to keep your head together and execute well. But it's at this point, we're about 30 seconds away from the gameplay portion of the run being over, and then just wait for the finishing cutscene.
Yeah, so now Kain did get torch glitch, because that is imperative in order to do this last part, effectively. 12 spins to win. Doubles and triples all around. Alright, Kyong managed to get through. He got a 1-1, so that's good. So Kain so far very solid with the spins. Lots of doubles and triples. I can't say I've been counting. I have no idea.
A couple more.
Should be wrapping up here pretty soon. Yeah, all need to do. All right, yeah, he'll wait for the fire rod, and that's it.
He goes to the right side there, which is, like I said, that's one of those positions. Like on that, if you went to the left side there, I've seen people throw themselves off the platform. So I really like to see him play that safe.
Yep. So, barring a fall, which he didn't, that is GG. Dude. That is a GG for Kain. 127 something. 127.31, according to the bot.
All right.
So excellent. And though Kyong not that far off, he's really right behind him. And I don't know. I've obviously not been counting, so I have no idea how many hits Ganon has left. I also can't tell if his spins are even connecting. I mean, they are. It just didn't look like it. And GG's for Kyong as well. So finish about 40, 50 seconds past Kain, but still an excellent a close race. This is kind of what we were expecting and hoping for. Lead
good
changes
races
back.
all around, and
Absolutely.
they both beat the estimate that you had for them.
Yes. 128.16 was the official time according to the bot. So GG's to both of them, and we'll see here if they will be coming in for post-match shenanigans.
Actually, Kyong getting his 128.14 average race time to the second. So,
oh yes. Well, congratulations. Okay, well, I'm glad to know that Kyong, keeping with the gimmick of getting exactly 128.14, as I said earlier at the beginning of the race, that was his average tournament time. So, okay, very good. So good for them. So we haven't heard back yet regarding whether we get a post-game. Oh, we got people. All right, so we have Kyong, GG, and Kain as well, GG.
Yeah, GG.
good race, guys. You guys put on a really good show for us today.
Yeah, that was a fantastic race. It was very good back and forth. So Kyong, I do want you to know, as I said at the beginning, your average race time has been 128.14. And you got a 128.14. Just wanted to let you know about that. So, yeah, so I guess for Kyong, I'll start with you. Were you worried when you were in Aga Tower and you realized and you saw that heart drop?
Yeah, I mean, the whole chain jump situation were like, I don't know, 4 or 5 layers of mistakes that I could have corrected, both inside that room and before, cause having that fairy could have helped there immensely for sure.
I like the way you put it, layers of mistakes, because it wasn't any one thing that ultimately made that happen. It was a series of unfortunate things.
It was like I made the dumb Yaga Tower, which I haven't really practiced any backup for that, so I just spawned there, whatever. And then in Chain Chomps, I didn't expect my block of Samar to actually hit the switch, and then I did not react accordingly. Especially since in my head I was thinking, okay, I do need to play a little bit aggressive. It felt like in that situation.
What I want to know is
not
were you
necessarily in
watching
that
the
room,
race?
but yeah, I was watching
Okay.
his point of view. So I knew, like, especially after that overworld with the 2 dead rocks blocking me, I was like, okay, this is a distance that it is feasible to catch up, so I should play a bit more aggressive to try to catch up a bit. And that mentality definitely cost me there. I was a bit too reckless.
Yeah, I agree with that, and you got a pretty unfortunate chomp pattern having to go to the right side, and then the right side chomp blocked you, so it's really hard to pull that out without taking damage.
And all that aside, though, Kyung, congratulations for your gold pod and your gold GT.
Yeah, honestly.
Oh, wow.
I was surprised for both. Well, pod is kind of understandable because I haven't done actually that many runs since the whole spin speed thing happened, and I was never great at Helma fights, so I was never able to really be super aggressive on the Helma fight, so that makes sense. I was surprised about GT Gold. I guess the Gauntlet went pretty well and stuff, but that's unexpected.
Yeah.
Also,
definitely.
this was the 3rd time in this tourney out of 6 races where I got 7 blue balls. So 50% of my races were
Oh,
Yeah,
At least
Aga
I
was
got-
really.
At least I got 7 too, so
Yeah,
I was
it
really
was-
glad about that. I was like, well, at least it's even. At least it's not going to be
yeah.
based on
Yeah.
that.
I was just happy it was even, but yeah, what's it, like a 2% chance to get 7 and you both got it, so Aga's out here killing it today.
Yeah, unfortunately, Aga. Well, at least Aga kept it fair, sadly. But otherwise, yeah, I'm trying to think. So, Kain, I'm just curious, were you originally planning at at the Swamp Split, were you planning to get Ice Rod if you had the bombs?
Oh no, I always do swamp. I mean ether and swamp and ice and Turtle Rock. Had nothing to do with the bombs. I know if I have no bombs in Swamp, I can just get that bomb that I got, the one before that, the key in the third room or whatever it is, the one with the long water hallway. But no, that had nothing to do with it.
Okay, very good. Moogle, do you have anything else?
No, I think that's it. So, who is our next opponent here for Kain?
All right, so unfortunately for Kyong, this will be a goodbye for him from the tournament. Very strong showing.
Very strong showing overall. I'd be happy with that.
Absolutely. But then for Kain gets rank number 6, Owase 28.
Oh, wow. Battle of the Bananas.
The Battle of the Bananas, indeed. So that'll be a fun race as well, I'm very sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm sure he'll like the floor with me. Owase is like a 123, level 123 level light world player. Like he's like his light world movement is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I've got a lot of respect for Owase.
Of course, we all do. So, is there any? So, Kyong, we'll start with you. Are there any parting thoughts you want to say to your millions of fans?
Wow. Nice to meet you guys, I guess. I didn't know I had so many. And thank you guys for the restream. It was a fun tournament, even though I haven't really practiced or run the game right for the tournament at all, but it was fun to participate and play against some cool people. And yeah, good luck on your next race.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you to my ones of fans out there.
Okay, well, very good. So, Kain now, like I said, we're moving on to face Owase 28, and Kyong, like I said, this will be the end for him. So at this point, if there is nothing else, so on behalf of Mugamod, I am Misanthropic Buddha, and we will take it back to Pirate.
Thanks for having me on here, you guys.
All right, thank you guys.
Yes, thank you to both of our runners for providing a very entertaining race tonight. Definitely an edge of your seat, went through a lot of that. Goodness. Thank you both. And also thank you to Misanthropic Buddha and Mugglemod for providing commentary. We have one hell of a day for you all tomorrow here on the ZSR network of channels. We will have our first race at 10 a.m. Eastern, our last race at 10 p.m. Eastern, and we will be on one of our 4 channels for every damn minute of the day. We are going all the way up through ZeldaSpeedRuns _4 tomorrow, so if you are not already following all the side channels, please consider doing so. Tomorrow morning, we are starting out at 10 a.m. with the Ocarina of Time Beta Quest Blackout Bingo Tournament. We've got our Winners Bracket semifinals between Exodus and Slotheroni. If you're just here for the Link to the Past action, at noon tomorrow, we have got more NMG. We have Losers Bracket Round 6, Gem versus Korek. That will be over on ZeldaSpeedRuns _3. Later on in the evening at 9 p.m. Eastern, we have more NMG, Winners Bracket Round 6, Void versus Andy, here on ZSR Main. And closing out the night tomorrow at 10 p.m., we have a Zelda 2 Randomizer weekly race. There is a whole bunch happening in between, but I am not going to bore you with the details. Buddha has already linked the schedule in the chat. Thank you very much. I don't have anything further to say, so you all have a lovely night. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to everybody involved in putting on this restream tonight. And we will see you across all the channels tomorrow with so damn much going on. Have a lovely night, rest well, and be ready to watch some Zelda tomorrow.